The 17th day of Eagles training camp is overshadowed by a lot of injuries. And yes, we have some crucial ones. Maybe the Eagles are being overprotective. Maybe they're just being careful, but a lot to talk about with Kevin Patullo's press conference, a first look at John Metchie and what he means to the wide receiver core going forward, and a lot more. So let's get straight into it.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Yo, what's going on, guys? I hope we're having a fantastic day today. So a lot to talk about regarding the Philadelphia Eagles on the 7th day of Eagles training camp, where this day was a tough one for this team, and it seems like crucial injuries are really starting to pile up. And Kevin Patullo had his press conference and discussed a few things, realistically talking about the John Metchie trade, where he talks about wide receivers in general against the other receivers that are still here trying to fight for a spot, then trading for a receiver in John Metchie. And he looked good at his first practice. This is a business at the end of the day, and there's a lot of receivers here that have one more week, or a lot of guys on this roster have one more week to really prove themselves to make the final 53. Patullo discussed the trade for John Metchie. I think was the perfect timing, where there's a couple weeks left, and obviously the big support system that John Metchie has is that he knows several players on this team. Obviously, the number one is Devontae Smith, that is dealing with a hamstring now, did not practice. Got to remember, too, Jahan Dotson had John Metchie on a college visit to Penn State, or hosted him on one in the past. So there's a lot of relationships, and Patullo thinks these relationships will help him learn this offense a lot quicker. Now, we saw another day from A.J. Brown at practice. He was actually throwing the ball to receivers in some of these drills today, and he was doing sprints. He was doing a lot at practice. So that's a really good sign that he's close to coming back, and he will be playing for that first week against the Dallas Cowboys. And then the Eagles lost another receiver during practice in Johnny Wilson, where he was hobbling on his left leg, and it looks like not putting pressure on it at all. Went into the medical tent, went inside the facility. So now you lose Johnny Wilson. So I feel like they're going to put some players on PUP probably to save them and not get rid of them for the start of the regular season. What happens to Darius Cooper? What happens to the rest of these receivers and Anais Smith? I'm not really sure. Darius Cooper obviously being the big one, where they gave him over 30 snaps in that second preseason game. So I'm kind of confused from this John Metchie trade to Darius Cooper getting a lot more reps, and maybe they play him in this third preseason game. Maybe they think not too much of him. I don't know. I can't say that they don't like him, but now with some of these injuries kind of piling up to this point, I think, he's got to make the team. I don't want Darius Cooper going anywhere. Patullo has a lot of confidence that John Metchie will not have to play catch up, just like Jahan Dotson did last year in 2024. They want to keep Jahan Dotson on the outside. This way they can move Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown all over the place, where defenses still really have to respect Jahan Dotson's speed. So if Devontae Smith, or they have an injury with A.J. Brown during the year or something like that, John Metchie can roll right in. And I still think you'll have a pretty good wide receiver core at that point. And the injury we really didn't want to happen was Andrew Makuba with the left hamstring. He was doing some type of drill. He got up slowly. He tried doing the drill again, looked even worse. And then he went to the blue tent, and then he went inside. So now we're back to not having a safety, and we're down to nothing at that position all over again. When you don't have much depth at a position behind Andrew Makuba, this is the problem that you're going to have. And obviously, Sidney Brown will probably have more of an opportunity now. I really don't know how Sidney Brown's camp has really been going to this point. I mean, I think playing downhill, he's gotten a lot better in coverage. I just think he's late on seeing things, especially when he's helping out for some safety help. I just think he's too late getting to specific plays, but I just think he's got to get better, and I don't think Fangio has been a big supporter of him at this point. You really can't fuck around when it comes to these injuries. So if you want certain guys to start, you have got to sit them. The only issue is if they can't get better after a week, you got to get prepared for the first game against the Dallas Cowboys. You can't just not practice for 2 weeks and just dress up for a game. So ultimately, you're down 3 receivers at a safety. So Yeah, it's kind of piling up at this point, and we're going to have to see in the next few days what happens. Now, I want to go over the injury report for the Philadelphia Eagles. The injury report going into the practice: will not practice. A.J. Brown hamstring. We talked about him. He looks good. Tariq Castro-Fields out with a hamstring. Lewis Signs still out with the groin. Land Dickerson with the meniscus. We know this. Brandon Johnson still out with the groin. Fangio said it'll take him a few days to come back. Jordan Mailata with the concussion. I wasn't really worried about that too much. I mean, it is what it is. Tanner McKee was out with a finger injury, okay? So Kyle McCord took the backup reps to Jalen Hurts in this practice. And yes, McKee, I guess, was taken out of practice early on the 16th day, which I didn't know about, and I guess just had this little injury. So Tanner McKee, hopefully in a couple of weeks, will be fine. No biggie there. Devontae Smith with a groin injury. Now, I thought this was a hamstring, but it actually turned out to be a groin from the last practice. We didn't find out until this injury report today. So like we talked about, a few wide receivers are out, but Devontae Smith was by John Metchie's side the entire practice. And limited Dallas Goedert with a groin injury. Didn't know he had one. Guess came out of the last practice with a groin and is limited, so it's not as bad and doing very light stuff. So that is your injury report. Now I'm going to get into the day of training camp from the practice itself, but not too much, but we'll just go into a little of it where Cooper DeJean actually started at outside corner, or at least was a cornerback on 1v1s against Darius Cooper, and actually swatted the ball from Darius Cooper, so a good rep from Cooper DeJean. Jahan Dotson hauled a deep pass over Quinyon Mitchell down the field, so Jahan Dotson having a very strong camp, having purpose, a chip, and a contract year for him. If you look at the offensive line, Brett Toth did still start that left guard spot, but your second line for the offensive line, it looks like Kenyon Green has taken that backup role at left guard. You have Miles Hinton at left tackle, Drew Kendall playing really well at the backup center. You have Darian Kennard at right guard, and you have Kendall Lamb at the right tackle spot. Dory Jackson started at cornerback too for another time. If this is true facts and he's going to start this first game against the Dallas Cowboys as a starting CB2, I don't want to see this guy be off the ball 8 to 10 yards, get burnt for literally open space like it's nothing. It's going to be that easy for receivers to do that. I figured Dory Jackson would only be on this roster for a few weeks, but I mean, another day, another start. I mean, every day they're always putting him as a starter, and he must be the best one until somebody else rises. I think Jacorian Bennett needs more time. We'll see what happens with CB2, but I just don't understand it at all. Well, other than that, guys, that's pretty much about it. We talked about the injuries that are piling up, and, you know, we're still questioning a lot of things. 2 weeks left till this regular season starts, and we should have a lot of answers now, and we really don't. John Metchie might be a blessing in disguise for this wide receiver core moving forward. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the Makuba injury again, and what to expect from that safety spot now. Down 3 receivers and, you know, a lot more going on. You guys let me know. Are the Eagles prepared going into this 2025 season? And do you think they have the answers that they need? Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Make sure you hit the like button because it helps out tremendously. You guys have a fantastic day. Shake Squid up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.